What's up, YouTube? So this week we're going to talk about kind of like a more advanced version of anchoring and dead weighting. We're just going to call it like a slingshotting effect. Pretty much you're attaching yourself to the opponent somehow, either through a grip or a hook, and you're leading them with your body weight so that it leads them into your next attack. For example, I'm grabbing onto something, I move him this way so that when he rebounds, I can slingshot him to something like this, right?
You can use that to move your opponent around, but then you can also use it to whip yourself around, right? If I push off from Michael, if he's already got a grip on me and I shove off of him, then I know that happens. And I know he resists to a certain degree, right? So he pushes, if I shove, he yanks, and I use this to pop. We've done like a shoulder bump. We didn't really explain it, but you can pull it down and then check, right? So it's kind of like considered like kind of a checking kind of moment that way. But you're basically slingshotting yourself into them. When you're shoving somebody into the earth, be it on a throw or whatever, yeah, sometimes you know you're gonna land on them. So when you're falling, you can create this kind of elastic effect where right before they hit the ground, you start to pull yourself into them, right? If I were to fall onto somebody, I'm not gonna make it, because they're attacking me, I'm not gonna make it easy on them and just try to fall bluntly on them, right? If while I'm falling, I can kind of push and grab. So it's like if I'm falling down and I do that, as you're falling down into them, it makes for a greater impact, right? Because then you're kind of creating that double slam effect.
It's funny because you see this in some karate styles when they do kata and they snap forward and back.
Yeah, forward and back, yeah.
For example, like in that naihanchi stuff people always do.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same exact slingshot effect.
Same.
You see it in judo too, where like people try to create the space for themselves, right? So instead of me trying to ram into him and try to turn, I fling him back. So it's like pulling back into that gap that I created.
So you can imagine applying that thing to all your striking is something that's kind of like what you can strive to do. Like not all the time, but sometimes it's beneficial, right? Like when I'm throwing a roundhouse, if I'm too close to somebody, I'll kind of push off, but I'll still hold on so they can't move too far away from me, and that kind of creates a moment where I can kind of yank my leg, another appendage back into them, right? So I'm using basically that pull to pull me forward and close the distance. It kind of disrupts their ability to maintain correct posture. It screws with their alignment, and that's the name of the game, right?
It also disengages the thought process for that split second.
Shaking them.
We see it a lot in street fights, headbutts.
Oh yeah.
They're going like this.
Boom. Yeah. You do this to bump. So you could bump here with your shoulder, or he would drag bump into that. So the slingshot was whack into his own forearm, right? And then after that, it would be continue. So if I slow mode it, it'd be here, boom, back, and then carry on with the movement to pull you back down.
You see that in Aikido as well, where they do like for example, a wrist lock takedown. The guy defends it, so he goes back and then does it again. Like a wrist lock, wrist lock type of thing.
That moment of fighting is what that slingshotting moment is, right? Because then it's free and then it comes back, right? So
it's the whole soft skills, right? Using your opponent's energy against them. So what are like common appendages to use for a slingshot? The arms, of course.
Yeah. So even when you're doing an arm drag, right? Pushing to get them to pull that forward.
And what's cool about that too is when you arm drag, that momentum of that slingshot allows you to pivot faster, right? Because it actually lets you turn curves or move around curves faster. So I get to here and it allows me to continue that momentum as long as I can. So it's kind of like, I don't want to stop the energy. If I go here and I slingshot forward and then there's a stopping point here and I try to turn towards them, it's going to be way too slow. So you can even imagine like creating as smooth a transition as possible between all your movements, starting from that one slingshot effect. So kind of like don't let the momentum die until the fight's over, type of thing. It's kind of like a wave crashing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have same side grips that you can use as a slingshot. Cross hand grips, there's actually one that we used to do a lot over here, right? So we see this a lot in bunkai videos, and people try to do this and try to reach up and try to stand up tall and break them down. You always have to keep in mind, use your body weight, pull his posture down so that you can come right back up. And you're also creating a space for yourself too. So this isn't just here to hold him, it's actually to steer his arm in different directions so I can start pulling down.
I would say, like, just keep in mind, like, the part of the thing, like, if you're moving somebody around, is remember that the point of attack is that little space where the slingshot comes back, right? So if I'm shoving Michael around and I'm trying to do that by pushing, that's where that comes, right? Because if he's already set, then he's set. If he comes back and he sets, and he's set. But what I want is that moment, right? So I'm not waiting before, I'm not going before or after that moment, right? It's as soon as, boom, that's when that happens. And it makes it hard for the other opponent to do it. So if you're going to practice this kind of a technique, you have to aim for that particular moment to do whatever technique it is that you're trying to do.
It's like on a roller coaster when you have that moment of weightlessness at the peak of the thing. That's in the Tegami sense, that's when we detach, right? So like we're here, we're always in the clinch, we're always moving. If we know what we're gonna do, if we know what our opponent's gonna do, then most likely I'm gonna try to detach so that you can't feel this anymore, and then I'll go. That same principle is what happens when I slingshot. So that's detachment right there, where you can't feel what's gonna happen next. Right? Same principles when you're trying to pick up like a sack of potatoes, right? So that whole, I'm trying to pick them up here, doesn't work, so I shuck them, and then I can pick them up. It's the same, you're slingshotting them up so that you can pick them up even easier. Same exact idea. Adding on to that in Sistema, they have like the whole ricocheting type of striking. It's the same thing, right? So if he throws like a 1-2, most karate guys would go like 1, 2, but if you use the momentum to bounce off to the next one, or he punches here, so I could bounce off to the next one, it's the same idea. We're kind of like, you're slingshotting down so you go forward. Those guys are great at it. I mean, a lot of it looks kind of performance, but at the same time, the principles is sound, right?
Yeah, these are other skills, just other things to add to your toolbox, right? To widen your perspective or widen your ability as a karateka or whatever martial arts you choose to engage in.
Totally. That's something to keep in mind. Like, you should always be searching for new stuff, even if it's outside of your school, outside of your art. Very rarely did we discover anything else in the Shorin-ryu curriculum, right? You kind of use that as your foundation, but it's kind of like opening the Pandora's box that you're allowed to go into anywhere else you want. Looking at baseball throws and looking at swimming technique and stuff like that.
I mean, if you explore stuff, you start seeing things. I mean, if you look at the body mechanics behind anything, any kind of sport, any athletics, like you can see stuff everywhere. You know, if you look, like, if I look at like the end of what a pitcher looks like, I mean, that looks like, what is that, Warrior 1, Warrior 2 pose, like yoga? I mean, that's how you end, right? So you're like doing that thing, kind of a deal. So, I mean, there's stuff everywhere, you know? So you just gotta kind of open your mind up and yeah, as you said, it's Pandora's box in a good way.